Hello everyone, welcome to valuetrainings.com. So now in this example, we'll take up the topic of downloading and installing or configuring Selenium. Well, Selenium is not installed. Some people make a mistake of saying that I need to install Selenium. There is nothing known as installing Selenium. You just need to have the latest DLLs of Selenium and just need to configure Selenium inside your Visual Studio project. Alright, say for example, in order to configure Selenium, we will have to go to the official website of Selenium, which is seleniumhq.org website. Out here, I go to the download section, and over here, the latest version is 3.3.0. We can simply download it by clicking on this download link, and it will get downloaded on your system. Okay, now one more thing to note over here is that this latest version 3.3 version is having many bugs inside it, because of which we will not work with this latest version, and rather I will switch back to the previous version, and for that we go to the previous releases link, and over here you can see all the Selenium versions that have come up till now. Alright, so rather I will work with the 3.0 version of Selenium, and you can simply download it from here. Okay, so it has been downloaded. You get the zip folder once you download it, and first of all I'll just extract it. Okay, now once you extract the Selenium.NET 3.0 folder, you will get two folders, net35 and net40. We simply go to the net40 folder, and out here you see all the DLLs, the WebDriver DLLs that come up with the Selenium package that you need to add in your Visual Studio project. Okay, so we need to add all these DLLs inside our Visual Studio project in order to work with the Selenium. Alright, say for example, let us see, I'll open up my Visual Studio and will create a new project. Say I add a new console application. Configuring Selenium. Okay, and under this project we need to add all the DLLs. Okay, so we'll simply add all the Selenium DLLs inside our project. For that, I right click on the references folder, add reference. Okay, and out here we browse to our location where we have kept our Selenium.NET 3.0 DLL files. Okay, so here it is. I'll include all these DLL files, and I click on the OK button, and you see that it has been added in your Visual Studio project. Okay, so now you can start building up, the simple .NET programs. For example, I have a class known as Selenium Basics class, which contains the main method inside it where we will be writing our code. Okay, so now in this main function we can create the object of the various driver classes that we have. For example, a class known as the Firefox Driver, which will help us initialize the Firefox browser. Okay, and then we have to include the class for it as well, that is the class from which this Firefox Driver class comes out. Right, so if I press Ctrl plus dot, it says that you need to include the namespace, that is using openqa.selenium.firefox. So Firefox Driver is actually present inside this namespace openqa.selenium.firefox. We will have to add it in our project. So if you press enter, you see that it has been added in your code at the top using openqa.selenium.firefox. Okay, and then I create the object of my Firefox Driver class. Okay, fine. So this is how you create the object of the Firefox Driver class. Now, and then one more thing. In the Selenium 3 version, you cannot open the Firefox Driver, Firefox Browser directly by creating the object of the Firefox Driver class, like we were doing in the previous version. Till the 2.53 versions, the Firefox Browser was opening up directly. But now in the Selenium 3 version, you cannot open up directly. So for that, what you have to do is you will have to include the path of the Gecko driver.exe file inside the constructor of the Firefox driver in order to work with the Firefox browser. Okay, so like the latest Selenium 3 version, it asks for the Gecko driver to be included in your code. So for that, we will again go back to our official website, which is seleniumhq.org website. I go to the downloads section, and over here under the third party drivers, bindings and plugins, you can find the Mozilla Gecko driver. Okay, so out here you can download the Gecko driver.exe file according to your system configuration. Say I download the Gecko driver for the Windows 64-bit. Okay, so once you click on this, the zip folder of this Gecko driver would be downloaded on your system. Okay, and I'll simply unzip it. Okay, so this is your Gecko driver.exe file, which you need to include in your code in order to work with the Firefox driver. And then you will have to write 2 more lines of code in order to work with the Firefox driver. That is, I will have to first of all create the object of the Firefox driver service is equal to Firefox driver service dot create default service, and then inside it we have to include the path for our Gecko driver.exe file. So I'll just include the path from my folder, that is over here, and I keep it over here. Okay, and then I'll put @ symbol before the path so that it automatically takes up the double slashes in the path. Fine. And then the next parameter is the name of your file, that is Gecko driver.exe file it is. Okay, and then with this service object you also need to set the binary path for the Firefox browser as well. Okay, that is your Firefox browser is installed in the C drive, program files 86, and you have Mozilla Firefox over here, wherein you have your exe file for the Firefox. And I keep this path over here. Okay, and I put the @ symbol. Fine, and then inside the constructor of this Firefox driver, you pass on this service object. Alright, okay, so now if you run this, and then okay, one more thing. Now there are 2 steps that you need to do in order to work with the Firefox driver. The first one is that you have to include the path of the Gecko driver.exe file inside the constructor of the Firefox driver. And then secondly, you also need to set the path of this Gecko driver.exe file in the environment variable as well. That is, for that, I go to my properties of my system, right click, go to the properties, advanced system settings, environment variables, and edit the system path variable. We'll just edit this path variable, and in the end you just give the path of the Gecko driver.exe file over here. Okay, just give the path of the Gecko driver.exe file in the path variable. I'll click on OK and OK. Fine. And then now when you run it again, so now if you run your code, you will see a blank Firefox opening up before you. Right, so we'll just see, hold on. Okay, so you see that it opens up the blank Firefox browser before you. Fine, since right now we have just tried to open the Firefox browser. Similarly, you can also work with the IE browser as well, and also with the Chrome browser.